On the southern bank of the Murrumbidgee River near Canberra, outward bound Australia has a dilapidated farmhouse. I remember seeing it for the first time, which was odd because it wasn't the first time I'd been to Outward Bound. Like a lot of things we don't use, even an old building shrouded by a rambling garden, it can blend into the background. Gee, I remember thinking, I wonder what they're going to do with it. What's the story here? Inside still felt like it had life. A place where we hang our art. Let in the outside world when we want to. Take the occasional bath. And sit on a seat with a pipe attached to it. I imagine this house has made a lot of memories for a lot of people. But after 60 years and 3 renovations, white ants moved in, people moved out, and the building was condemned. And there it sat for 10 years, a neither old nor young building to await its fate. When the demolishers were booked, all I could think about was all that wood that the bugs hadn't touched going to landfill. I couldn't help myself. Give me 3 days, I said, before the excavators arrive. I went home, gathered my tools and returned to deconstruct the house. Now, I'm going to level with you. As a guide of 20 years over water and land doing all sorts of wonderful things, the safety of whoever it was I was guiding was paramount. Get the chickens home safely, I'd always say. It's not always the same when I'm by myself, especially on a building site with so much wood and so little time.
This is the best use of my time for day 1. Taking out a pair of $5 brackets. That's what we're after. There's about 300 of them in here. Magnificent Australian hardwood framing. All through the rafters, all through the joists, all through the floor joists, all through the bearers, all through the walls. Hot, right? 34 degrees today. I just did half an hour or so on the roof. Demolishing stuff is hard work. De-engineering is hard work. It's bloody good work too. Very satisfying. Yeah, I've got a good workman's sweat up.
When I see a home, I don't just see a place to get out of the wind or where good memories can be made. I see a whole bunch of materials that should be used as those materials until they no longer can.
I reckon that I've done 5-7% of the roof. Heath gets here at the end of today and then we've got a full day of going bonkers until the excavators come. What's taken me about 10 hours is probably going to take a excavator 15 minutes. And that is the crude modern world. We are wonderful at time management, humans. Makes perfect sense. We'll do remarkable things with an excavator, but it will also ruin a lot of the timber. So hand picking through it is the ticket. Up here in the possum shit and the blazing sun and the dust. Bloody love it. right, so I've been here a bunch of days doing pottering along, getting out, I don't know, probably 25 sticks of timber. That was relatively inefficient. Now we've got a better form of inefficiency, which is Heath.
Here he is, my old schoolmate who I recently planted a bunch of trees for. Now I love wood, which is what I'm here to salvage, but I'm a part-timer with my affair. Heath is a proper, full-time wood nerd and makes magnificent furniture from exclusively reused timber. I couldn't think of a better bloke to spend a few days with on a dusty, woody, super safe job site.
Bloody galahs.
Anyway, so it'd be nice to have company up there, rather than just, speaking shit by myself. Heath's come up the highway
Speak
and...
shit together.
Yeah.
The human skeleton has 206 bones, which provides the structure for 650 muscles. Within those muscles are organs and tissue and liquids and millions upon millions of cells. Wood to a house are the bones to a human.
Possum piss?
Rat, probably.
Rat
probably
piss.
more rat.
Yeah, rats, yeah.
In this case, local eucalypt hardwood gives a framework for 30,000 nails, thousands of tiles, a square kilometre of installation, and props up a roof that was once a home and then an office, and then a place for possums and rats to leak and crap wherever they saw fit. I think about these things as we toil away, about the life cycle, of where this wood was once a tree and where it grew, how it germinated and the environmental events that gave it a certain grain and a certain amount of limbs. It's a great distraction to all the dust and the noise, the life cycle of these trees, piling up like the bones of an animal.
Yeah, I think today's very safe. I think we're really exemplifying protocols today. With I had 4 inches to walk along with a chainsaw whilst taking the roof off. Very impressive just to watch the world just go drop from beneath you. What do you reckon, man? Were you as excited about that roof dropping as I was?
Absolutely. Absolutely went to plan, as we knew it was going to.
Yeah, mate. You can't buy these sort of timber lengths like this. Not really.
Right? Yep, got him. Good.
Beautiful quality, straight.
Boom.
This is probably the nicest join we've found so far in the entire building.
You're kidding me.
I call this a lightning join. I'm not sure if it's called a lightning joint, but I always have, because it's like a lightning strike. And how about that? Just beautiful. So we're going to try and keep this as an A and a B and keep them together in some sort of project. The race is on now that we've kind of done our thing. They've been able to potter around the outside and get a lot of the landscaping stuff done, and now they need to attack the buildings, which puts us off to the side.
After 4 days and 30 hours of sweating profusely, getting as much wood out as possible, I raised the white flag and let the excavator have its way with the building.
Brutal and fascinating.
What I watched was a much bigger arm than mine, but with all the same qualities of movement and dexterity, just an awful lot stronger.
Like a dog with an offering. Like the dog brings you its bone. What a legend. We're just going to be opportunistic now and see whatever turns up okay from the excavator. Which is a bit sad because you toil your ass off getting out all the wood, And then the big machine comes in and just smashes the wood. Yeah, it's kind of sad to see all those good materials just go into a big skip. During my first coffee break this morning, I was sitting there, had a little bit of a moment. I was thinking, you know what, I don't really even like this. The fact that I've got to care. Like, I'm always the one that eats people's leftovers, right? And then I have to run an extra 5K that night, I feel like, just to burn it off because I didn't want to waste the food. And I'm a bit like this. When I heard that it was getting demolished, I couldn't then take away the thought in my head that it needs to be saved for its materials. I wish someone else had done it. I wish someone else had said, you know what, I'll do that, Beau. But because, you know, it's like when you pick up a bit of rubbish, you then own that rubbish, even though you didn't drop it. And I feel like once I get the idea for these kind of things, I've got to go through with it because otherwise I'm sitting at home in Jindervik knowing that this is all going to go into a skip.
During an early look over the building, I noticed that the floor joists from the 1980s extension were 10-metre lengths of tight-grain Douglas fir. It was one of the reasons I wanted to see this building with its shirt off. These kind of timbers are the kind of wood a barn builder salivates over. Without giving too much away, it would be these lengths of wood that can make just about anything my imagination can cook up.
Oh, there's a lot of great people out there that really dig this sort of stuff, and I know even the demo guys, they love timber too, but they're almost sport for choice. They do this every day of the year, so they only take the biggest and the boldest and the rarest timbers, whereas I'm still attached to a crap bit of pine if it can be used.
I cared for whatever wood I could get my hands on as a kid because it meant I could make things. But as an adult, I care for a stick of timber because I know where it's come from and what its basic elements are, and how trees, more than any other life form, are the biological building blocks of our planet.
You know, this was home to a lot of things, not just humans. So possums all day have been running out of the roof as it was being demolished. Full of spiders and insects and lizards I've seen darting around. Houses are an ecosystem. They really are.
It was about now that I started to get excited about the prospect of what can be made with all this timber. Perhaps I make a building of some kind with a staircase and a mezzanine, and Heath fills it with furniture and a bench top that exposes the tree's most interesting bits, including all the nails and bolts and cuts of its time as a house.
I was just saying to Heath, look at all those tables and chairs. People's bums are going to sit on them for another 100 years. The forest lives on, man. I love it.
So tell me about working with Beau, Heath.
Working with Beau.
Your life is just way better for it. Sorry, Heath. No, I'll let you speak for yourself.
Am I allowed to have an opinion on this?
No.
You know what? I'm glad my pride kicked in when I thought of this project and that I didn't, as I've done before, decide it was all too hard. Of course it was. I left the job site with bruises and cuts and splinters in places I've never had bruises and cuts and splinters. I know I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. I can't wait to see what this wood becomes. I've got a few things in mind, what I'll make, but that would be telling. And rest assured, I'll film every saw cut, finger slice, screw hole and putting it into place. What's left of this old house will come to life again.